In Africa's savage wilds, one law governs all. Adapt or die trying. It's survival at its most extreme. Unforgiving, unforgettable. Africa's deadly kingdom. From the cold Atlantic depths, the ocean's ultimate predator, on the hunt. Driving the seals to seek shelter among the kelp. These tangled forests provide a small refuge in this treacherous seascape. Camouflaged against the reef, a 7-gill cow shark hunts by scent, sniffing out a 3D image of her murky world. Seals rely on sight. The shark counts on surprise. Once spotted, she's no match for the shrewd and agile seal. But these sharks are soldiers. They hunt as a tactical unit. A very unshark-like strategy. Her spots help her vanish against the seafloor. Her powerful tail provides a surprising burst of speed. When the sharks zero in on an unsuspecting ray, the seals are suddenly off the hook. Unfussy eaters, cow sharks even prey on other sharks. This most ancient of shark species perfected its game 175 million years ago and has changed little since. Happy at home in this dynamic sea. Above her, a storm rages, driving walls of water into the southern tip of Africa. While the ocean pummels Africa's southern shores, the continent's eastern coastline is a completely different kettle of fish. Rocky remains of ancient sand dunes support some of the largest living structures on the planet. Coral reefs. Constructed by tiny animals called polyps. Their external limestone skeletons fuse together over thousands of years. Together, the world's coral reefs rival the biodiversity of any rainforest. Off the coast of Mozambique, this 5-kilometer reef boasts 400 species of coral and over 1,000 species of fish. Red-fanged triggerfish prefer to socialize. They shoal by the tens of thousands. They glide upward to eat microscopic plankton floating above the reef. They owe their immense numbers to their overprotective parents. Each fish was won in a clutch of 10,000 eggs, which both parents defended with their razor-sharp teeth. This aggressive male lionfish, armed with 18 venomous spines, makes his home here. He scours every inch of his domain for a mate, blushing a passionate dark red during the breeding season, while the females turn a papery white. Finally, he spots her, only to realize she's already taken. Fiercely territorial, a male will attack any intruder that muscles in on his patch of reef. The bachelor backs off. He'll try his luck elsewhere, leaving the pair to court. The lionfish is no king of the beasts here. Over 70 species of shark cruise through Mozambique's waters. Today, he's not on this zebra shark's menu. And he doesn't strike a chord with this bowmouth guitarfish. He scours the reef for shellfish to crush with his grinder-like teeth. The spiked ridges on his face and back might give would-be predators second thoughts. A somewhat softer-looking resident, the frogfish seems almost cuddly. But don't be fooled. He's the world's fastest gape and suck predator, pulling in prey in 6 milliseconds. He hedges his bet with a built-in lure. But he's not the only one on the hunt. A snowflake moray eel wants a piece of the action. Stacking the odds against this unsuspecting mullet. Score 1 for the frogfish. the eel must up his game. With a rapid turn of tail, he proves this mullet's met its match. While eels and frogfish eat alone, others do better dining family style. Small fish are always on the menu for the lightning-fast bluefin trevally. To dodge the dinner plate, the tiny fish become one confusing cloud. But the trevally also team up, picking off the panicked fish. As dusk falls over the reef, an army moves in. The bluefin are overshadowed by their larger cousin, the giant trevally. Thousands envelop the reef in a dazzling predatory display. Apex reef hunters, they prey on anything from lobsters and shrimps to even smaller trevally species. These bulldogs of the sea are pure muscle. As darkness falls and the full moon rises, it sends a secret signal to the reef below. Once a year, entire colonies of coral simultaneously release their eggs and sperm, transforming the reef into a snow globe. Out of the eerie darkness, a winged predator swoops in like an angel of death. The haze of spawning coral attracts the giants. Manta rays. As these 900-kilogram gymnasts somersault through the veil, they create a vacuum, drawing the spawn into their colossal mouths. Each ray has unique markings on its underbelly, like a fingerprint. Mantas can eat up to 27 kilograms of small fish and plankton per day. They usually don't venture far from the reef, while the different species of coral spawn over the next few days. By morning, it's as if the orgy/banquet had never happened. Life on the reef resumes. Today, the cleaning clinic is open for business. The blue streak cleaner wrasse, the doctor of the reef, sees her first client. Even surgeonfish pay a visit. He's a model patient, turning compliantly as the wrasse nibbles away his parasites and dead skin. Here, doctor-patient confidentiality means one thing. Please don't eat the doctor. Further along the reef, the Titan triggerfish hasn't come for a checkup, but for a meal. The reef isn't just his dining room, it's his dinner. He pulverizes the coral between his sharp teeth, laying waste to years of growth in minutes. With his enormous, independently moving eyes and dexterous fins, he seeks the most appetizing corals. But the most powerful shaper of the reef is the ocean itself. Carved from the remains of ancient sandstone dunes, loom the canyons of South Africa's Aliwal Shoal. The setting for a submarine Hunger Games starring one of the ocean's deadliest predators, the tiger shark. Basically a stomach with teeth, this half-ton gastronomically adventurous shark bites first and asks questions later. Given the choice, he'd prefer blubbery marine mammals. But along this reef, he must use all his tricks to catch smaller, nimbler fish. His stripes mimic the dappled light that plays upon the reef, hiding him in plain sight. He can smell trace amounts of blood over greater distances than many other shark species, quickly homing in on injured fish. Sensors in his snout pick up the minute electrical signals of prey hiding in the seaweed. These little fish are no match for his serrated, cockscomb-shaped teeth. Barely enough to whet his appetite. He'll keep looking. But he's not the only set of terrifying teeth on the reef. Along South Africa's Alawel Shoal, shivers of ragged tooth sharks circle the reef. Some have ventured over 1,000 kilometers. But they haven't come to hunt. Hundreds gather with more amorous intentions. They deploy their jagged teeth to grip their mates. Fleshy love bites tattling on last night's escapades. Like hopeless romantics, they are believed to mate only in the moonlight. They pass the daytime exploring the caverns and overhangs while regaining their strength. This female is already pregnant. Soon, she'll head north to the warm, protective reefs of Sodwana Bay. While the ragged tooth travels far to breed, some reef dwellers never venture more than a few meters from their tiny territory. Along the subtropical reefs of South Africa's Sodwana Bay, 2 bar anemone fish vigorously patrol their toxic domain. Their mucus coating makes them uniquely immune to the anemone's deadly sting. The tentacles actually protect them from predators. In return, the fish defend their hosts, attacking the anemone's enemies. Their partnership is so fine-tuned that on some reefs, neither would last 24 hours without the other. These little fish all begin life as males. The most dominant fish in the group becomes a female. She lays up to 1,000 eggs between the noxious tentacles of the anemone. Before handing the responsibility of protecting them to the energetic male for 5 or 6 days until they hatch. And swim off to find their own patch of venomous real estate. Twice a month, the spring tide sends nutrient-rich waters surging over the reef. But unlike the barred anemone fish, these coachmen don't have a toxic home to protect them. They rely on safety in numbers. Abandoning the shelter of the reef, they travel to the outer edge to feast on the seasonal bounty. Keeping a beady eye out for predators. While all seems tranquil now, the ocean collects souvenirs of its wrath. Snatched by the angry ocean, this ship has undergone a sea change. Forming its own reef, where hundreds of species make their home. A 300-kilogram brindle bass has claimed his section of the wreckage, and nobody's going to argue with him. Both predator and prey live side by side in this unusual underwater fortress. Unlike the fish and the anemones, this hawksbill turtle goes it alone. She has swum thousands of kilometers, guided by the Earth's magnetic field. Her sharp beak, perfectly adapted to explore every nook and cranny of the reef, easily snaps up hidden mollusks and sponges. She rides the current, conserving her energy. She will rest here until she can continue her maritime odyssey. In contrast to the hawksbill, these bottlenose dolphins roam the oceans in large pods. Their close-knit communities pass down knowledge to the youngest members. Today's lesson: personal hygiene. The scratchy reefs and sandy beds scrape off annoying parasites, plus they feel good. Forming large pods not only means teamwork, it also provides protection. That becomes a top priority when tiger sharks start to gather. A turret of sardines drawn to the surface by a plankton bloom. It triggers a chain reaction. Sharks drive them into a tight ball against the surface. Forgetting their spar session, the dolphins capitalize on the sharks' hard work. Thrashing their tails, stunning the fish. In this abundance, the swarm enemies ignore each other, focusing only on the fish. Aerial hunters torpedo from above. The sardines are now surrounded. And then it's over. When calmness returns, the tiger sharks descend to the reef to scarf down the dead. Their senses may be acute, but their appetite is not so cute. These garbage cans of the ocean will swallow anything from license plates to chicken coops. Nothing is wasted. The last diners leave the table. After a nearly year-long gestation in the bay's calm waters, this female ragged tooth feels the tug of instinct pulling her south. A hidden war rages inside her. Her two uteruses hold 20,000 eggs. The largest or strongest pup in each devours the weaker siblings. This is the only known case of intrauterine cannibalism. As the ragged tooth prepares to give birth, the flirtatious male lionfish finally seems to be gaining some traction on his journey to fatherhood. More concerned with feeding, the female ignores his advances. He tests the water. With a flash of his fins, she accepts the invitation. Like a stalker, he imitates her every move. It's the sincerest form of flattery. The courtship dance can last for hours. Swimming in sync, the new pair head to pelagic waters to mate. As the giants descend on the reef once again. With a wingspan up to 5 meters across, reef mantas are some of the largest rays. They also have the biggest brain of any fish. But these benevolent brothers of the sharks haven't come for intellectual stimulation. Beneath the dappled sun, they begin a courtship ballet. Before vanishing into the depths. In the river mouth of Sodwana Bay, a pair of harlequin shrimp prepare to reach for the stars. This specialized psychedelic predator feeds exclusively on sea stars. They can team up to take down much larger specimens. But with these appetizer-sized stars, it's every shrimp for himself. The pair wages a colossal battle over one little star. The female shrimp is larger, but the male prevails. The crustacean situation is of no concern to the largest living fish. the whale shark. This gentle 30-ton giant bulks up by eating some of the smallest organisms in the ocean. As he trolls the soupy waters, he can gulp down over 20 kilograms of food, though his throat is just the size of a quarter. It seems that a creature that can grow to 20 meters over its 100-year lifespan would be tough to miss. Yet whale sharks are some of the most elusive ocean dwellers. With only clinging remora knowing their secrets. As one inhabitant dives deeper into the ocean, another makes her way out. Returning to the exact beach where she was born, to fulfill her destiny. In the moonlight over Sodwana's sands, an ancient ritual begins. This loggerhead turtle has spent nearly her entire life at sea, and tonight she answers her calling. She painstakingly digs a deep well and deposits over 100 eggs. Burying them in their sandy womb is her last parental act. Exhausted, she feels every gram of her 160 kilograms as she lumbers back to resume her nomadic life in the ocean. Her hatchlings will have to face the world alone. On Mozambique's bustling Ponta de Oro reef, the lionfish pair has also sent its fertilized eggs on their journey, working up quite an appetite. They've swum into hazardous territory, unwelcome on this patch of reef. Dusky sharks move in. The male lionfish spots the danger. tries to hide. But he's already a blip on the shark's radar. At least he's left a legacy. His mate's eggs will hatch within 36 hours. In 2 years, his offspring will be ready to populate the reefs off the coast of Mozambique. The new life growing inside the ragged-toothed shark also gets ready for the world. These docile sharks somehow manage to overcome their traumatic childhoods. The 2 surviving pups, each about a meter long, have eaten all their siblings in utero and swell in their mother's belly. She's eaten practically nothing during her long journey. The mum will wait until she reaches her cold natal waters down south before she gives birth. The ragged-toothed shark's pups face their biggest survival challenge before birth. For loggerhead turtle hatchlings, the trial has just begun. They've spent the last 60 days in their sandy incubator. Then suddenly, every turtle in the nest emerges simultaneously, instinctively scrambling toward the call of the waves, and against the odds. Hatching day is a holiday for this beady-eyed ghost crab, who easily snatches a meal to go. The lucky ones make it to the sea. Only 1 in 1,000 will live to adulthood. In 15 years, the females will return to the beach of their birth. Traversing entire oceans to get here. They'll linger on the reefs along the way, restoring their strength to continue the cycle.